Good morning. It is such a great day to have synchronicity. I am so excited to be joined by our next provider, Dr. Tanielle Smith. Dr. Smith, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Tell us about you and your practice.
Well, one, thank you so much for having me here. It's such an honor that you reached out and asked me to be here. And so let me tell you about my practice. I'll expand on my name a little. It's Tanielle Brew Smith, and it comes back in later because my business is called Brew Wellness Collective. I use my maiden name because I created it before I got married.
Yes,
People are like, where's that brew come in? Do you like tea? No, that's my maiden name.
yes, love it.
But yes, I have a coaching business called Brew Wellness Collective, and I help professionals, physicians especially, who are burnt out and overwhelmed. Along with being a life coach, I am also a physician, a family medicine and obesity medicine physician who had my own burnout journey and saga. And I really want to support my other fellow physicians who are going through the same thing. So I've created different coaching packages that really help and support them through their journey.
Really good. So you started your own coaching business to address your own burnout.
Yes, it was really birthed from my own burnout experience.
Wow. Could you tell us to expand on that a little bit? What was that like for you?
Oh, not so it's so funny because everyone thought I was living this dream idyllic life. Oh,
Yes.
I've switched over to working in my own obesity medicine practice. I was employed by a hospital, but working in obesity medicine practice. I had just gotten engaged and about to get married, just moved into a house. But literally, I was feeling terrible inside. I, when it was time for me to go to work, I was having heart palpitations, like
Yes.
literal heart palpitations to the point I'm like, is there something going on with my own heart? But I knew because I was going to the doctor all the time, I was fine. So physically, I was fine. And then I was feeling nauseous every time I thought about work. There'll be different triggers. Like I could hear someone say, "Oh, we need to go into a meeting with Dr. Brew." I was still using my maiden name then, Dr. Brew, and it would just set off this whole cascade of every negative thought I would ever have. And then
Mm,
my personality changed. I'm usually a pretty bubbly person. Of course, I have all ranges of emotions, but in general, I'm pretty bubbly, lighthearted. But suddenly I became this person who was very negative, who was sad a lot. And if any kind of thing that was out of the ordinary happened, I would either start crying or I'd blow up. I just didn't really have that compassionate heart that I know that I have on the inside. And I knew it was because of stress. And then, like I said, I go to the doctor pretty regularly. After ending up in the ER twice, because of just random sicknesses, I knew that my body was telling me that what I was doing, the pace at which I was doing it, was not right for me. It was not in alignment with me. So I decided to just not even, it wasn't on a whim. I really thought about this for months and had planned it out. But I resigned from my full time position, my dream job that everyone said was my dream job. It was not. No job was my dream job. But I resigned from that position without really having some kind of backup job. But I really wanted to take that time to figure out what I wanted to figure out me. I wanted to figure out what I needed to just be happy, to feel whole, to not feel like I'm just moving from one place of another to another because somebody else wanted me to. So I took the past since June of 2022 that time to explore what I needed and wanted and understand myself.
wow. That is amazing, right? And our body will definitely talk to us and sit us down, whether we are ready or not ready.
Yes.
And I'm just so excited to hear how you listened to what your body was saying and knew that something wasn't right, that you were not in alignment with you. So talk to us, doctor, about what does it mean to be to feel whole, to feel complete, and just to have that self-love. What does that mean to you?
So this might sound weird, but one of my philosophies is inside, outside, same. So I want what my desires on the inside and what is reflected on the outside to be the same.
Mm,
So what self-love and all that means for me is that I am living in alignment with what my inner values are, and it's reflected on the outside. Because a lot of times, especially as women, as minorities, we end up shifting and molding ourselves just a little bit to fit in different spaces. Well, I wanted to create an experience for me where I didn't have to shift myself, where I could show up as this person, Tanielle Brew Smith, however I feel. It doesn't have to be happy Tanielle. It could be neutral Tanielle. It could be annoyed Tanielle. And that's okay. And that self-love in general is really my compass to let me know kind of where I am, where I need to shift, what I need, and what areas I need to focus in.
I love that, right? Showing up as your authentic self, whatever that may look like, and just being okay with that. Could you give us some examples of self-love? What does that look like?
So for me, self-love starts with, because I talked about my physical body a lot, starts with that physical body. Do I have water? I literally have a water bottle right next to me because I can get dehydrated like that. So self-love is, okay, am I nourishing myself? Am I drinking water? Am I eating? I have not been blessed with the gene for cooking delicious foods, but I have been blessed with the ability to get resources. So I have someone who literally like food preps for us being me and my husband. So part of my self-love is making sure that I have nutritious food for me, making sure that I go to sleep. Boundaries is a big part of my self-love journey also. Setting those boundaries with the people around me. Like I used to be a part of a group text message with my family. They love to tell me about all the bad things that's happening in the world. They will update me on the news. And I'm like, y'all, in my own life, in practicing medicine and just my own life in general, I hear enough. I don't have the capacity to hear about everyone else's bad things across the world. So please take me out of that. So boundaries is another part of another self-care practice. But then going back to the physical exercise, movement is so important to me. It grounds me. It helps me to really feel what I need. So whether it's walking with my dog, doing yoga, I love doing yoga and just breathing and sensing into what I need, or working out with my trainer, or I love to dance. So Zumba, I love moving my body. And I think I healed myself by moving my hips. So
those hips don't lie.
Okay. It's a big part of my self-care journey.
Really good. Such good tips. And I'm glad you brought up yoga, right? Because I think when I was kind of researching some of the things that you bring for awareness, to be centered and to be grounding, yoga was one of them. So tell us about yoga and how this can bring some balance to your life.
So I'll tell you a little bit about my yoga journey. So I had done yoga before I stopped working full-time in June. But as I was trying to decide, okay, what's my next step? In my brain, I kept hearing, do a yoga teacher training, do a yoga teacher training. I'm like, what? What are you talking? Brain? Me? I'm not this skinny person. Like, I'm not like, yoga teacher training. Oh, sounds crazy. But I said, you know what? Whatever. I'll just do it. I'm off. I have nothing to do. I'm trying to relax. It sounds great. So I ended up doing the yoga teacher training, and it was literally one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Wow. What yoga did for me, and what it does for all people, it connects your body and your intuition, and it gives you that time to pause, because I'm a big believer we all know what we need to do, but sometimes we don't slow down enough to listen. And yoga gives you that space to slow down enough to listen to what you need, to be able to calm down your nervous system, to be in sometimes uncomfortable situations and know how to bring ease into that situation. And you do it within the safe container of yoga. To know how to bring in support. When I do yoga, I use a lot of props. So one, to be able to receive help, which is something probably a lesson we all need to learn. So yoga has been helpful for me to literally learn how to receive help, receive support, just receive guidance from different yoga instructors, or even from the students that I work with. So yoga has been a space and container for me to learn a lot of life lessons, but also just for me to slow down and learn how to reconnect with myself before I then connect to other people.
That's amazing. I was looking at some research about how yoga can be used to help individuals that have been exposed to trauma
Yeah.
and how helpful that is, just that mind body connection on their healing journey. So, that is just so amazing to hear how that can be so helpful as far as wellness is concerned. So, tell us a little bit about the 20-day yoga challenge.
Yeah. So actually I did it for 30, and I did it at the end of the year because I knew 2023 was going to be huge. So every day for the, yeah, it was every day for the month of December, I was doing yoga for at least 15, it was usually around 15 minutes. Sometimes I did it for 30, and I did it just within my house because even after doing all my training and all this, I kept trying to make my yoga practice a certain thing. Like, oh, I had to go to this studio and have this and have that. I needed all these things to make it right. No. You know what I need to do yoga? My body and a place to do it. So I wanted to see what would happen if I just put it out there, because I know if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I say it to the world, I'm going to do it. That's me. I know that about myself. So I put that out there that I was going to do this thing. But then I wanted to be in, again, this safe container and listen to what my brain brings up when I try to be consistent, when I am doing these things to add in this discipline. What are some of the self-sabotage thoughts that are
Yes.
going to come up? Because then I can navigate that. And then I saw that, you know what, I was making my yoga experience way too complicated. A lot of days on my 30-day yoga challenge, I was on the other side of where I am right now, just on the carpet. I didn't even have a mat down. On the carpet doing my yoga. And that was fine. And a lot of times I didn't have music. I just listened to my intuition, moved my body in the way that felt good, and just did that. So I learned how I can just do something very simple and it can be very powerful. I didn't need all the fluff and bells and whistles. I just needed me and my intention and keep it moving.
Yes, I love that. I especially love how you were saying in the beginning, you were kind of listening to some of that negative self-talk. And I incorporate meditation in my practice. And a lot of my clients have these limiting beliefs about why they can't do it and what happens when they try to do it, right? And kind of using that not as something terrible, but using that as a strength in order to get them through the practice. And that sounds like exactly what you did. So that is definitely exciting. So tell us, since you incorporated some of these practices, and in the beginning you were kind of like stressed out and burnt out and having heart palpitations and all of these things were happening, how has these practices improved your life? What would you say to that?
I feel like it's night and day different.
Mm.
Before, I felt like I was just on this train going a million miles an hour, and I just was just riding the ride and trying to hold on. Now I feel like I am creating my life. I am the cause. Like I am creating my whole experience. One, I am able to notice way earlier when I am out of balance. So I'm not getting all the way to having heart palpitations. No, I might just notice, I'll have a little tightness here. There's a sensation. It's not even tightness. There's a sensation in the chest. And so as soon as that sensation comes up, I just stop and I just start breathing. I can just sit with my breath and breathe. And then notice, am I doing, usually that means I'm doing too many things at once. So I'm starting to be aware of patterns instead of just kind of like living life or whatever. No. I notice the sensation in my chest. Usually I'm doing too many things. I'm overstimulated. Where can I let some things go for a while? It might not be forever. Let it go for a while and just focus in on one thing versus trying to do 80,000 things. It also helped me in my just relationship with other people. I feel like I was already very empathetic, but now it's to another level because I have a better understanding of myself and what triggers I have and had. now I can understand when someone else was in the same boat I was 8 months ago or so. Like I can see that in them, and I'm like, okay, they're just stressed out. That's just what's going on with them. And also have a certain level of separation that it's not me as the cause. They're having their own experience, and I can help them if they want to receive the help. But if they don't, it's okay. Maybe they just want to stay in that experience for a while. And when they're ready, I can help them. So it's really helped me just to shift how I see the world and how I navigate through my different experiences.
Yes, you really spoke to me about creating your own reality. I love that so much. Not being a victim of circumstance, but kind of creating what we want to see in our lives. And that sounds like what you have implemented so lovingly. So, Doctor, tell us what could be the outcome of not having boundaries and not pouring back into yourself? What could happen to a person?
Well, I'll actually put my doctor hat on real quick. So there can actually be a lot of health issues that can come from poor boundaries. I see people who, in practice, they have high blood pressure or they have very uncontrolled diabetes or cholesterol issues, insomnia, severe anxiety, depression because of poor boundaries, because they're not listening to what they need. They're doing a lot of what other people think what other people think is important to the detriment of themselves. And they're also, when you have poor boundaries and you're not giving yourself what you need, it is very stressful. When a person is stressed all the time, that has a major effect on the body, huge effect on the body, which could lead to all those health issues we talk about and can also lead to a lot of infection. So people who have all these sinus infections all the time, or as soon as they cut their skin, they get this terrible skin infection where normally it could just heal, maybe because you're stressed out a lot. So poor boundaries, I know people usually don't take it to that health stance, but it really can lead to issues like that, especially if it's going on long term. So that's what I really wanted to discuss.
Yeah, definitely. You have to take care of yourself, right? It's all connected. I look at us as humans as almost like a tree, right? We have like this trunk and then there's different branches of us, right? And if you infect one part, it affects the whole tree. So you have to take care of mind, body, spirit, all of it is intertwined and interconnected. So really good stuff. So doctor, outside of yoga, what type of stress reduction techniques do you currently utilize?
So I definitely, well, yoga, of course, meditation. You mentioned the meditation earlier. I usually meditate in the morning and in the evening. And actually, now my walking with my dog is like a walking meditation. So I try to bring in these meditative practices throughout the day because it helps me to get into myself. Journaling, I was very resistant to journaling at the beginning. Now I literally keep a journal on me at all times. So journaling has been very helpful. And what I do to journal, I write 3 things I'm grateful for normally. And then I write out a one-line affirmation. So I'm trying to remember my affirmation for today. Oh, I listen to my inner voice. That was my affirmation today. So I write that multiple times and I just fill up the page. And that's part of my journaling practice. And then another thing that I do is I'm a person I think all the time. I just start writing out all those, like, usually it's just things I need to do. I just made like this super long to-do list. That, I know it sounds like the most simple, like basic thing, but having that externalized to-do list versus it being inside my head has calmed me down so much because I kept thinking I was forgetting something. And that caused me to have anxiety. So just that writing it out practice has been very helpful. Another just practice that I have is having my dog. Before I came in here, I was kind of rushing because I was leaving work, but I just went up to him and gave him the biggest hug ever. And then I said, okay, now I got to get everything ready so I can do this interview. So he has been even though he's not technically an emotional support dog, but he's my emotional support dog.
Absolutely. They are, aren't they? I love
Yeah.
my dog so much because no matter what you're going through or what type of day you're having, they just come over to you and be like, I'm so happy to see you. Where have you been? And it's just like so genuine and so authentic. So yeah, I'm with you. Dogs can be emotional support animals, therapy dogs, they have all this love that they want to give to their owners. I'm with you on that.
Yes.
Good tips. Definitely some good tips. So what else would you like to share with us? What haven't you told us during this time that you want us to know? How can we find you? Now is the time and the space to let us have it.
So one thing I do want to mention, and it can seem a little off, a lot of times we as people, we run away from negative feelings like, oh, I'm angry, I need to stop being angry, or I'm upset about something, I need to stop that. There's a lesson in everything that we are feeling. Do we need to sit in anger for days and days and days? No. But one of the strengths in life is learning how to sit and listen to what the emotion and feeling is trying to tell you. So for me, usually anger means I need to change or adjust something. There's something not right. And instead of me trying to just, oh, let me just positive it away. No, it's okay for that anger to be there. And another thing I leave everyone with, anytime you're in a situation where you feel like there's only two choices, know that you're probably in a super stressed out response and you need to open up your eyes because there's probably 1,000 other choices. So don't ever limit yourself to two choices. There's usually infinite amount of choices, and know that if you are only seeing the two, you're hyper focusing in on those two, but there's always other choices. There are always other choices. We have infinite amount of possibilities to do things. So even if it's subtle differences between those choices, that's a different choice. Even if it's small changes, that is a different choice. And sometimes even those tiny little changes in that choice make the biggest difference. They make the biggest difference in how you feel, how you walk through life, how much authority and agency you feel you have in things. So be okay with making small changes in your choices. So how you can find me, my Instagram is Brew Wellness Collective. So BREW Wellness Collective. You can follow me there. My website is the same, Brew Wellness Collective, BREW Wellness Collective.com is my website. And it's only me on the Instagram. So if you send me a DM or something like that, who's going to respond? Me.
And I will make sure that all of your information is pinned under our interview. You closed us out beautifully. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time to share your tips and to have tea with us here today. You enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good one.
Thank you.